So two big things there. One, I think people that are in accelerated growth or have a lot of people around use the term scalable, and people that don't internalize that as could internalize that as systemizing things, right? And they're synonymous in some capacity, right? But the people that are doing $500,000 a year or $1 million a year, and they talk about scaling, it feels like cart before the horse to me. Where it's like, just build some fucking systems that support you, so that you can scale.
But that's where the proactive versus reactive comes in. Do you need those systems? And at $1 million, I didn't need any systems.
Interesting.
Like and it depends on the business. Everything's different. But $1 million, $1 million run rate, we were probably, 8, 10, 9 people. Like my system was sitting around a conference table, was our entire office, and it was like, you handle that, you do this, I got this, and it's like, did I have a system? Sure, I had like a repetitive system I was running to build the business, but like there was no software infrastructure, there was no operation. It was just like we kind of had a thing we were doing and figuring it out. And
well, the proactive versus reactive was actually the second point that I was going to hit on, so that's perfect. But there's also a consideration of, and you hit on this, the type of business model. Right? So like $1 million business as an agency, what's margin on that?
40% at that point.
Okay, well that's actually still pretty solid.
Yeah.
But the $1 million business, when you have an 8% margin, right, is a very different thing.
Correct.
Or 40 or 80% margin. Right. Like I have a good friend who has a couple $1 million a year business, and he's got like a 92% margin.
Yeah.
And he's like a one-person show.
Yeah.
That's a very different thing.
Correct. Right? And you can build that. I had this conversation. Someone was asking me today, how can I build what you built? And it's like, I mean, you can do, like we're open book. Like this is what we did. Like I don't really, people love to ask for secret sauce. I'm like, do good work and be good at, like what? There's nothing secret about what we do. And this guy literally told me like, well, we do what you do, but we make our experts that work on it sell and you don't. And we're 3 times the price you are. And I'm like, okay, so you don't do what I do. Like, okay. Like it was a really funny line. Like, he's a nice guy, but he's literally answering his own questions. Like, how do we make it scalable like you do? We're like you except for XYZ. I'm like, well, yeah, if you're having the person that works on the projects sell it, that means that they're having to go back and forth all the time. Like you just said it. Like you just said why you aren't doing what we're doing. So, and my response to that, which is what goes back to what you're saying, build the business you want to build. Like, I don't want to build a one-man show doing 92% margins. That's a great fucking business, and that person's, I'm sure, stoked on it, but it was not what I set out to build. Like, what excites me is a multinational, teams all over the world. We just closed an acquisition in Canada, officially making us international, and now we're working on Europe and Asia, all these different, spinning tons of plates, doing all these things, working with tons of people. Like, I love that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to build that.
Yeah.
But as you said, it sounds, I think horrendous was the word you used.
Horrific.
Horrific, thank you. So that sounds horrific to you, so don't do that. Like, that excites me, it doesn't excite you, so build the business that suits you as the entrepreneur. I think the most important thing is to, build it for yourself. Like, build it that you want to keep it and run it and enjoy it.
I love that. I think that one of the, a great friend of mine a long time ago told me that there is no right or wrong.
Yep.
There are actions and outcomes.
Yep.
There's no good or bad. There are actions and outcomes.
Yep.
Things are the actions either getting you closer or further away from the outcome that you're after. After, that's it.
Yep.
Relatively speaking, you could then put the labels of good or bad, right, wrong on them.
Yep.
Actions and outcomes.
Yep.
And I think that the clarity of, no, this is what I'm trying to build is really valuable. And it's also very valuable in the context of life when friends, family, peers, etc., critique.
Yeah.
It's like, no, but this is the thing I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm just doing me.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
No, I mean, we're month to month, and every great, brilliant advisor I had, including my own dad, like all these people around me that are incredibly successful business people, told me that was the dumbest thing I could possibly do. Like month to month will never work. No one's going to buy you, which turns out I don't want to sell, so that helps. But you'll never be able to sustain a scaled business on that because you can't rely on the revenue. And I had come from running consumer brands where it's like no one gave me a contract to buy pants for a year. Like I just had to sell as I don't know what you're talking about. Like my ignorance helped me that I ignored that. And I was like, well, I know something you don't. And I'm like, I know you guys are smart, but I feel like I have a context you don't. And thank God I stuck to my guns. Now that being said, it could have gone the other way. I could have,
Sure.
because there's other things I've done in my business that I'm like, oh, that's why they all do that.
Yeah.
Oops. Like at scale, you start to realize like that's the reason why all these other agencies do certain things.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we need that too now.